beginning our class, we're going to start in a pose called Tadasana. And Tadasana is a standing pose that helps you find equilibrium in your posture. It's referred to as mountain pose in English, Tadasana Sanskrit. And remember that when you're in Tadasana, you're attempting to feel really long. So it's like you're attempting to feel the crown of the head reach up and lengthen, as if you have a plumb line right in the center of the skull that's pulling up. And it also feels good. You can just feel the low back lift there. And you have space in between the ribs and the hips. And what I love to teach is if you take your thumbs and you place them right on the first floating rib. And you will feel that, even if you're voluptuous, if you have a belly, press in. It's the first rib as you start to go in. It's the first one before you go up. That's your first floating rib. And then you take your middle finger and you place it right on the tip bone of the edge of the ischium. So this is your pelvic wing. And then you space that area, and that gives you the space in between the ribs and the hips to give you the tallest frame, which really helps you to stay in a strong posture in everything we do. Then you take the arms down alongside the body, and you move the hands down towards the feet, and you pull up from the core so you keep that lift. And pull up all 10 toes so that you're going to stretch down into the front base of the toes. And then press down through the heels so you have all 4 corners of the feet. Now technically in a yoga practice you have what's referred to as a drishti. And drishti is a focal point with the eyes. So I'll just show you. It's basically at about 45 degrees, so you're not looking up and getting too militant and stiff. And so the gaze is at 45 degrees, carry on from the side, right here. And you have that space in the rib cage. Shoulder blades slide down the back like this, so you really feel like you're extending the hands down towards the floor. But it's not locked, you're not locking the elbow joint. And you keep pressing evenly through the fronts and backs of the feet. The other thing I think it feels like is like you have your head back against a headrest, so that you don't have the chin coming forward, which is very kyphotic, and that causes rounding of the shoulders. So we keep the head back. And I can sincerely say that when I first started doing Tadasana, I would do it all the time when I was standing on the subway platform, and I think people thought I was a police officer because you look really, really official. It's a really good way to straighten the spine. In fact, I found it really painful for 8 months because of my scoliosis. So this is a really great way to just actively posture yourself and create a bigger breath. Diaphragm has more room to move, and to practice evenness, because we tend to be bilateral and hang out on one side. So you come back. So this is a really great way to start. Now, you want to feel, again, as I mentioned, like the chin is back. And right away, if you can feel like you're zippering up in here, that creates the space and the lines in the posture. And if you practice this real lifted ascending quality right through the crown of the head, you'll feel the muscles work. The muscles along the spine, and in the thighs, you're actually pulling up the quads. So the kneecaps lift. It's very much like you're pulling up long johns, and you keep that lift, and you stay in all of these ways, the hands down, shoulders down. And that is a really great way to frame the body and be in a good position for height, space in between the vertebrae. You breathe in and out through the nose, and again, the head is back. Now, one of the best poses to do at the beginning is forward bend. I'm going to show you a couple variations, and you basically have your feet hip-width apart, and your feet are parallel, so the balls of the feet are turned in, which opens up the sacral area. That'll help a lot with low back. Now, I'm just going to turn this to the side. You are going to keep the knees soft so you're not locking back. And you pull up from the core, and you can let the elbows come out to the side, so you're really lifting from the rib cage. Then you can gaze up, because that directs the spine. And then you exhale, fold forward. Feel free to bend the knees a lot here. And then hinge forward from the waist. And then you can hug on and bend the knees and hug on to the backs of the legs. Bring the body in contact with the thighs, so you let your head dangle, and you keep the hips
sitting back, and you keep the chest in line with the thighs. Now, you might have the knees bent a lot. The main thing is that the knees are bending behind the toe base, okay? So here's what I mean. Here's in front of the toes, and here's back. And that allows you to hinge and come off the buttocks. So you'll get way more lift of the bum up into the ceiling. And the head falls, and you're really squishing the belly. So you're folding from the belly, and you're pulling the belly button area up so that you can get more of a fold. And if you're like this, if you're really high, it's all good. The main thing is keep pulling up through the rib cage and here, the belly button, to get that length in the low back area, and that really helps. And of course, at any time, you might need to stop the video to just take a look at these mechanics. So there's your forward fold. Now, as you breathe in and out through the nose, notice that you are breathing. You want to keep the rhythm of the breath. And then notice that the weight is distributed between the front and the back of the feet, so that you're really keeping the evenness of the bum bones right over the feet. Okay, and then you can come into a full forward fold. So you might, I did straighten the legs accidentally, habit. You can take the hands so that they're just beside the feet or in front of the feet or further in front like a short downward dog. And the main thing is come forward, and again, I'm keeping my legs straight from habit, but you might do this, you might really bend the knees back, let the bum sit back like you're in a chair, and let your head fall. So that's your forward bend. And you want to really pull up through the core so you feel a really nice lift of the bum bones towards the ceiling, and the head dangles. In breath. Okay, now from here, you can take the hands forward and we'll come right into a downward dog. Now you're placing the hands shoulder width apart. I'd just like to show you from the front. Your hands are here and you're sliding the shoulder blades down. So here we go. You're going to step the legs back into downward dog. So feet are hip width apart, and you pull the bum bones up and lengthen the spine, and then you let the heels drop. Now they may be way off the floor, and that's perfectly fine. The main thing is keep the shoulders sliding down your back. Now that might not happen yet, but the activation of releasing the shoulders down allows the neck to be free. And then it's always really good to do like a little giggle here, a little because that helps to pull the core up, and everybody that comes here knows I like you to giggle. And it really does activate the deep core muscles. And you keep on pulling the bum bones up, rise the bum, and then from there, you can come down to all fours position. So you're taking the hands directly under the shoulders. That's referred to as tabletop position. The knees come back so they're directly under the hips. What does that mean? If you have potential to see yourself, the knees are directly under the hip. Here's the hip. And the hands are directly under the shoulders. So it's like you're scaffolded, like everything's aligned. Shoulders over hands, hips over knees. And then you come into a wonderful cat-cow stretch, which is this. You can have the toes tucked under, and I highly recommend it because it's really good for the feet, the fascia. Or you can point the toes. And you breathe in, gaze up, lift the eyes, and slide the shoulders down. It'll feel like you're pulling your palms down, but they stay put. And then on the exhale, you round the spine, press the tops of the feet into the floor. And then breathe in, come on up again. Gazing up, lift the eyes. And then exhale and round. Please go in your own rhythm if you need to breathe a little faster. And breathe in, gaze up. Again, the bum bones tip up. The rib cage pulls up. And then you exhale, round the spine. Feel like it's pressing your palms right through the floor. And that will help to draw the shoulder blades forward. And then breathing in, gaze up. Good, now while you're up, I'll just show you what I mean. You feel like you're pressing the shoulder blades forward like this. The arm is drawing forward instead of using just your back. Use the shoulder blades. You're probably up by now. And then breathe in, and one more time. Breathe in And gaze up, and then exhale and round. And feel free to stop the video at a point where you want to practice a pose more. And then from there, you do child's pose. Now there's many ways. One is to take the arms as far forward as you can get, and then pull the bum back and release the forehead to the floor. Now, sometimes people will have like a really full body, and the body weight is keeping them from getting into child's pose. So here's what you do. You can take a thick pillow like from the couch, and you can put two together. Or if you happen to have a bolster, who has a bolster, but if you do, and you can take the arms forward, and then you can come down. And if you're still off the floor with the forehead, get another pillow so that you can pull back. So I used to work with the wonderful Libby, and she had a really tight back, so we had a giant bolster for her, and we would pull back from there, and that helped her to get her back. So in the bolster position, you would have the forehead coming right to the side of the bolster as the palms reach forward. And that way you get to pull the core back. Now the other way to do child's pose is to take the hands alongside the body like this. And again, I'll demonstrate with using the pillow. Your arms are back, palms are up. You inhale, exhale, and fold forward. And your shoulder blades fall forward. Now the beautifulness of this pose is that, and you keep going, is that you're folding right into the low belly. And anything that you fold helps to aid digestion and stimulate the ascending colon and descending colon. And that helps to move everything through the intestines. So I find that with yoga, you have not only good digestion, but you have less distension in the belly if you're practicing. And then you can come up from child's pose. Now, you could continue to use the pillow if you have it and you need it, or just to show you, and I hope you can see it's a beautiful fall day and the bright colors are incredible. So there's the beautiful ravine, and we're getting pretty lit up here. I hope you can see from the backlight. We're going to come into child's pose with the arms forward. Now, get your reach way forward. Look up at the palms. Palm the mat, so press the wrists and the fingers and the hands down. And then come on over to the left. So you're going to reach your arms over and then pull the right waist back and release the forehead to the floor. Now here again, I'm getting a really good squeeze in through the gut, in through the belly, squeezing out that area. You continue to breathe in and out through the nose. Coming back with the bum, so the tailbone goes back and the belly draws in, especially on the exhale. That's where you really draw the belly in. And another breath. And again, at any moment, please pause the video and stay with the pose that's feeling fabulous. And then you breathe in, you come back to the middle. And then take the arms over to the right, they come well off the mat. Exhale, release the forehead to the floor. Or again, you might go to the pillow, the bolster. And on your exhale, really pull the core in. So again, you want to keep a really good pull back of the belly button. And always feeling free to do half a giggle. So you get the core to come in. You just fake it, you can just go. It'll still get the contraction in through the core. Laughter yoga works even when you fake it. And then you take the hands right underneath the shoulders once again. And what we'll do is we'll come into a kneeling position. Now in the kneeling position, and this is an actual pose, it's referred to as hero pose. This one is excellent for digestion as well. And I do not know why. My anatomy has never revealed it to me. Now in this one you can go into some wonderful neck stretches. So you can take your left elbow down and back and you can coax it down and then hold on, or you might grab the hand and then you bend the ear over to the right. So you've got a really good length out of this left side. So I'm just going to show you on this from the front again. So we have the elbow back, and again either holding the elbow here, or you might clasp the hand and then bring the ear down to the side.
Now you're noticing that you're really keeping that left shoulder down. The breathing is in and out through the nose in order to keep the breath going into the center of the brain through the olfactory organs. It's better, you're getting more of a filtering when you breathe in and out through the nose. And then you can come back up, and you're going to take your right elbow, so the palm is up. Here again, you pull the elbow across. Either hold the elbow, or you may hold on to the hand. Let the ear drop down to the side. The eyes can be open or closed on this one because you're seated and there's no balance required. And just feel like you have a heavy earring. You're just pulling down on that left side, and the shoulder is down. And breath. And absolutely feel free to repeat this one. Fantastic through the shoulder. Okay, then to stretch a little further through the neck, take the hand right to the bottom of the ear, and I like to get this hand under so that you can draw the shoulder blade down. And then you breathe in and you exhale over to the side. And you want to keep the gaze straight ahead. This helps to concentrate the mind. And that drishti, that focal point, is like a loving gaze that lands on one spot. Your shoulder blade is really down on that left side. And you keep the breathing steady. And then you're really drawing down gently but strongly if you can. So you'll increase the stretch right in through the side of the neck, the scalenes, and also through the muscle that goes right into the upper back. And then you release that. Take that right hand down and again scooch the hand under. Take the left hand to the bottom of the right ear. Take an in-breath. Exhale over. Keep this right shoulder down and draw the ear down to the other shoulder, so you're really lengthening through the neck. And you want the breathing to be streaming in and out at all times, so you keep the energetic relaxation occurring. When the breath is held, you get a little tense. So you keep that ear dropping down. And then you can take the hand down. Now, for the next one, you can interlace the fingers just behind the head and take an in-breath, gaze up, but not a lift of the chin. And then exhale over to the side and keep the elbow pressing back. So you're going to get that length in the waist. Also lift on the left side. So you're going to keep from collapsing like this down on the back by keeping the ribs lifted. And as that elbow presses up, you also press it back. So you really reach. And then you can draw back up to your center and then over to the other side. Keep the elbow back, keep the rib cage lifted, and keep that rise. Keep the rib cage in, opening, keep the breath constant, and keep feeling the weight on each side of the shins so you're not tipping over. And again, keep the underside waist lifting so you're not collapsing the rib cage. And then you can come back to the center. Now to stretch in through the neck, take an in-breath and then exhale and tuck the chin and look down. So you're really stretching in through the back of the neck. And it feels like you have a double chin or a triple chin, and you want to really nestle the chin into the clavicle, into the top of the chest. And then you can breathe in and come back up. Feel free to pause the video and repeat those. So again, we went side, side, and then to tuck the chin. Now, in this forward fold, what's helpful is to feel, to me it always feels like I'm lifting the top of the head up and then tucking the chin. So what I want you to avoid is this, is come like this, get a lift up of the top of the head and then tuck the chin in so there's more fold space in through the throat. And the good plan is to keep breathing in and out through the nose when you're here. Okay. And then you can come right back up into seated position. And I'm going to show a series of poses that you can do for anxiety. Anxiety is, as I'm sure we're all familiar with, one of the most interruptive emotions that you can have. Anxiety is when you can't be here emotionally, mentally. There's so much fear, so much frustration, so much unknown that you don't know how to cope. It's a horrible feeling because you're uncomfortable and you feel isolated. The best way to meet the energy that's in anxiety, because remember, it's showing you something. It's showing you don't know how to do something. It shows you that you feel alone. It shows you that you need assistance, you need help. So it's actually an emotion that's asking you to reach out. But that aside, one of the best ways to meet anxiety and that elevated energy is to elevate your energy, is to use the stimulation in this provocatively convincing, fearful emotion. And one of the ways to do it is breath of joy. I have this in many of my videos, and I've taught it for quite a while. And I'm going to show you breath of joy seated, and I'm going to show you breath of joy standing. And then you can decide which one you love. Now, one of the best things to do before you do this is to blow your nose, because we're going to really blow out the nostrils, and I want you to just make sure that you don't get wet. So you're in a nice tall pose. You might have grabbed a Kleenex and had a good blow. And you want to get that space in between your hips and your ribs and keeping that nice frame open. The arms come out to the side, and you've got the wrists even with the shoulders, so they're not forward of the shoulders, and this will help to open the diaphragm and breath. Now this is a very vigorous breath, and I want you to be sure that you can do it. So if you can please watch me for the first 10 breaths, and then notice if it's something you think you can do, and if it's too much for the neck and the shoulders or the spine because of osteopenia, osteoporosis, frozen shoulder, anything that's happening in the shoulder or the neck or the body, then you would miss this pose. Also, if you have high blood pressure and the other things that you'll see in the disclaimer on the video. So breath of joy, only for those that are capable, of course, as with all. But I wanted to do that extra reminder. So you've got the arms out to the side. You take an in-breath, and then you exhale, and the arms throw up. So it's an in-breath. So you can see it's a very vigorous pose. Now the arms, when they come up, you open the palms and you come down. You don't have to look up, I do that by habit, but you can keep the gaze straight ahead. So you breathe in on the way down, and then you exhale on the way up. So let's do 27 pumps, and then we'll take a breather. And if you want to pause the video and do another 27 or another 4 pumps, whatever is in your body to do. And if it's too much, please stop whenever you're starting to feel anything that's different, like lightheadedness or a lack of balance or anything. So the arms out to the side, nice and tall, chest open, taking an in-breath. Good, that was 27 vigorous breaths. Take a little breather, like a relaxed one. We'll take 3 in and out breaths. And again, see if you can keep the chest open. The chin is back slightly, so you're practicing that mountain pose, that Tadasana, everything aligned. And then we'll go for another round of 27 breaths, if you're up to it. Otherwise, stop whenever you need to. Taking an in-breath. Drop. Okay, taking in 3 regular breaths again. So at any time, pause and stop if it's a little bit too much for the nervous system. You are raising the heart rate, the blood pressure, and you're meeting that escalated energy that is in anxiety. Okay, so one more seated breath, or more. Pause if you need to. I'm going to demonstrate this pose standing. So you come up to standing, And a really nice way to do this is to do it with a swing, and I'll show you from the front and from the side. So you stand with the feet a little wider than hip width, and you take an in-breath, you come up, and then you exhale and you let the arms swing back like this. So almost like chopping wood. So you take an in-breath, you gaze up, and then exhale and fold. So now I'm going to do it at regular speed. Inhale, join me or watch. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. Maybe you join me. Inhale, here it is sideways. Exhale, hips sit back so the knees are behind the toes. Exhale, a little speedier. Inhale, exhale, inhale, look up, open, exhale. Inhale, look up, open, exhale. Inhale, up, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. I have no idea how many we've done. Let's do 5 more. Inhale. Really nice for the chest. Really nice for the shoulders. Remember to keep the hips sitting back. Look up when you lift. Inhale. 1 more. And inhale and exhale. And then you can stand for a moment and just feel all the effects of that breathing. And again, if you feel dizziness, you'd always stop. Now we've really energized the body. I'd really like to come into balance from here. So you've got like a nice even standing position. The classic pose for balance is to come into tree pose. So in tree pose, you're going to take your left leg up and press into the standing right foot. Now the right foot is turned in slightly because that helps to activate the inner thigh a little more rather than rotating the foot out, which is pretty normal. We tend to rotate out. So you're pressing on the inside of the foot. You rise, get that space in between the ribs and the hips. You can keep your toe here and press into the standing leg and to do your Tadasana. Or you could take the foot up. You could take the foot to the knee, to the shin, or calf, or ankle, or anything. Wherever your body can be that you can feel yourself lifted. As time goes by, you might find that you take the foot right to the top of the thigh. It's nice to center with prayer. And you press that foot to that knee outside by pressing into the foot. The foot presses into the thigh, and just like the hands, they're pressing together. And you keep that foot rotating out by pressing into the standing leg. And if you're shaky, just hold on to the wall. You can use one of your hands, get to the wall. You can do this while you're doing the dishes, maybe. I do it while I'm brushing my teeth. So see if you can really ground into the standing leg, and feel how to center. Remember that all the little places that it takes a lot of energy, like the standing leg or in the core, those are the places you're finding how to use those muscle fibers. And that might be why they're quaking or why they're cramping, because the blood flow is going to improve there. You can see I'm keeping a focal point in one spot. If I look at the camera, I'll lose balance. And that focal point really helps to still the mind. And that's why balance is really sweet for increasing concentration. And then again, you might go down. You might be in your prayer position. I've got a sore knee today. I have a bit of problem with my knee right now, so that gave out. And then if you can press right into the palms, rotate that knee out, and feel how to get nice and elongated so you feel like the palms are coming up and the shoulders are down, and that keeps the chest open. And again, you might be holding on to the wall. You're strengthening your standing leg beautifully. And then you can gently release. Really fantastic for stilling the mind. So this is good for anxiety as well, and depression. You're really lifting the breath up. So here we go, coming to the other side. Press onto the inside of that right foot. Rise. Again, I like to do the full lift, so bring your foot to wherever feels natural. Square the hips to the front. Press it down into the standing leg. Feel the rise through the crown of the head, potentially coming into center, potentially steepling the arms up. And again, just feel here, what is your best lift? You might have the arms out to the side. You might have the arms out to the side. You might be holding on to the wall or somebody, just kidding. And keep feeling how you can ground into the standing leg and feel yourself rise from there. And the breathing is steady. Beautiful focal point with the eyes. And then from there, you can come all the way down and releasing that leg. Very nice. Now here, let's go right into triangle pose. Now the triangle pose is done with, let's have the right foot forward, and the right foot is going to be one of your leg lengths away from the other foot. So here's my leg length. If I was taller, I'd need to be wider. If I was shorter, I'd need to be, if I'm like 4.5 feet, I'd be about here. So I'm 5'4", and that doesn't matter. What matters is the length of the legs. So if somebody had long legs, it's way easier if they have a wider basis of support. Okay, so you come into your best position, and I'm just going to show you from this angle because I want you to see how to do it. The left heel is on the inside of the left heel, and I'll come here so you can see. The inside of the left heel is in line with the inside of the front right heel, and that helps you to keep the hip back. If one was behind, you'd have to torque the knee. So you've got the heel behind. You open so that the left back body comes back. Rise right from the crown of the head. Take an in-breath, spread the shoulders apart. Make sure the arms are down so shoulders aren't lifted. And then you in-breath, then you exhale over to the right side. You can let the left arm come up. You can bend this front knee slightly because you might need to, or you can straighten it without locking it out. And then as long as you can keep this left hip back, you rotate down and you continue to reach the top left arm up. But do make sure that you can keep this left hip back. If you do this, like if you have to come over, then see if you can just stay higher, because you want to keep this part here from doing this, lunging forward. That will take you out of the triangle and out of the length right in here, which is what's so toning for the side waist. It's a really nice way to lengthen the side of the hip and the low back. And you're gazing up to the ceiling, and if that's too much, like I can feel my neck's getting a bit tight staying here and talking, you can always gaze ahead. And you keep pressing into that back left foot, and then you breathe in, come on, all the way up. Wow, I can feel that stretch. And then let's rotate to the other side. Nope, that won't work because you'll have to turn away from the camera. So take your left foot forward, take your right foot back, leg length and a half apart, pull your pants up, and then pull that right hip back, open through the side body, draw the right waist back, shoulders down, breathe in, exhale, glide over and back and down. For me, because of my back, I can go to here, so I'm not bending down as much. I need to keep my right hip back, and the only way it can stay back is if I stay high. So again, I'm not doing this. I'm not bending forward. I want to keep pressing into that back right heel as I open through the side body, and keep the breath. Really good breath. Opening. And then on your inhale, come on all the way up. So you're going to lift, and then you can turn and face the front, and come all the way back. And you can stand in Tadasana, so just standing. Now I'm going to check my notes and see what else we covered in the beginner class. We've got lots of work on the floor, of course, but let's start. We'll take a breather by coming down onto the back and practicing the lift of the spine on the floor. So let's come right into the staff pose. In this one, you take the heels out, pull the toes back, keep the heels reaching out, and then pull the bum bones back. And that will help you get right to the front of the bum bones. Now, the balls of the feet are together and the heels are apart, and that allows for the hips to be parallel. So I'm just going to bring my legs in so you can see. So you're going to have the balls of the feet together, the heels apart, not like this, because that'll rotate your hips. So that helps to get the bum bones to come straight back so you've got a good line right in through the bum, right into the hamstring. Now, there you are. So you're coming forward with the heels. Take an inhale, get tall. If it's too much through the shoulders, let the arms bend. Rise from the rib cage, and then exhale the hands right down beside the hips. Press into the palms, gaze ahead, and then up, and really open the throat, pressing into the palms, and then exhale and tuck the chin and just look down. You look down past the tip of the nose. So you want to really press into the palms. That helps to lift the low back. Keep the heels reaching out and the toes pulling back. So you're lengthening through the backs of the legs and the chest open because the shoulders are back a little, but they're mostly pressed down. So if you just watch for a moment, I'm not pressing the shoulders back and popping the ribs forward. You actually want to press them down because that helps to lift the back. That helps the upper back come up. And you keep the chin tucked and you continue to lengthen through the back. And as the heels reach out, the toes pull back and your breathing is strong. Really good. And then you can gently release there. Okay, so that is Tadasana. And then to come into forward fold, you would lift from the rib cage. You could extend the arms up again. Exhale, fold forward over the legs, pull the toes back. Lift from the low back and extend the rib cage forward. Now, of course, the hamstrings might be screaming, so you could always bend the knees and bring the heels in closer, okay? Or you could also put a towel rolled up just underneath the knees right here, so you might need to do that. And in every way, come forward with the ribs, the chest, so you're reaching the head forward as opposed to doing this. You're not trying to get down, so don't get down. Get the heels reaching out, come up from the low back, extend the body forward, and see if you can press the bum bones down as you pull up through the thighs, and the inner thighs are attempting to rotate towards each other, rotating in like barber's pulls, and that happens by pulling the baby toe side back. So the baby toe side comes back, you reach the heels out and you come forward, and you're lifting from the rib cage. Keep the length in the spine as you extend out. I can really feel the heat and I can feel how tight this area is. Now, I could come forward more, and maybe you could too, but could you make sure you're lifting forward like so? You can hold on wherever. If you can get the feet, it gives you a little bit more of a roll forward, and you keep the heels reaching out and the toes drawing back. Now, as you reach forward, see if you can draw the rib cage forward. Now I can really feel the stretch in the tight place I always am. And again, if you're here, if you're here, if you're here, keep the lift from the low back. Now this would be a really good place to pause the video because you might need to work on this area. I know I did for 10 years to help the scoliosis, to get that lift from that side. So that's one way. Now, an easier way to do this is to bring one leg in. So you would take the heel, and I am going to show you, even though I'll be a bit off camera, I'm going to show you from this position. Maybe I'm on camera, but you want to keep the foot, just pressing into the inner thigh. And then you draw the toes back, rise from the rib cage, inhale, and then you exhale forward. And again, you're lifting the chest forward to come out, and you're pulling the toes back. Now I'm just going to return to the mat and show you from the side. This foot is pressing isometrically like a clap into the inside of this thigh. That helps to rotate the knee out. It's perfectly fine if your knee is high. Then you would just take a block or a pillow or a book or 20 phone books, like that used to be, and get the knee to be supported. And then you press the foot against the thigh. You square forward, so you're pulling the waist back on this side, so you're not rotated. And then the belly button can come straight out, pull squared forward, and then you can reach out over the leg to whichever range of motion you can reach from. So again, do keep the reach instead of collapsing the back. Lengthen out, pull the toes back as you reach out, and feel that lift of the rib cage. And then you can pause here and stay with the pose because it's really needed, or you can come back up and then we'll go to the other side. So I'm going to flip to this side to show you. You're going to take that opposite heel in, put the foot right against the thigh. That helps the press helps again to rotate the knee out. You extend forward, draw the toes back, especially through the baby toe side. Breathe in, exhale forward, lift from the rib cage, and see how much you can extend forward with the chest and the ribs. Feel that reach out. Pull up and back from the thigh, so the thigh is pulling up into the socket, so the kneecap will lift, and you get right out there, and you lift from the rib cage, the shoulders are back, pressing that foot into the thigh as you extend forward. And again, see if you can lift the rib cage forward instead of round. So even though I could come forward more, or down more, so to speak, it feels the length, the stretch in the low back is occurring if I reach forward. And this is a great way to isolate the opposite side. Both, but you might find it more on the opposite side. And then you come all the way back up. You lift from there, and then we'll come right into spinal twist. So you can keep this leg out, take the knee up, bring the ankle in, and you're going to pull that ankle in quite far, so you're right at the front of the bum. Now, so I've got my left knee up, and that means I'm going to take my right hand down low. Now, imagine I am doing the opposite of you, so I'm even though I have the opposite, the right leg up, I'm saying left, so that when you're following it, it's easier, because I don't want you to have to think. And you're going to take this right hand behind, the fingertips are turned out. I'll just swivel here. And you're going to get the hand to get pretty darn close, or as close as you can, to the back. Bend this elbow to turn the shoulder. Press down into the palm to lift and to extend that left heel out. And you rise from the rib cage. And you press into the palm. And you're gazing back. Feel the rise. Keep pressing into the palm. You gaze back in order to rotate the spine. Just watch that the back is tall, so I'll just show you what not to do, so to speak. If the hand is too far back, you might collapse. So do get to the front of the bum bones, so that's here, and press into the palm to get a nice rise. And you rotate. Get really lifted. So you want to feel, again, the length in here. The shoulder is back because the hand went down instead of in front. That lifts you open. And then you can come right back to the other side. That feels amazing. So I'll show you from this side. You're going to take your opposite right foot up. Get the ankle as high as you can. Perfectly fine if you need to get low, but you see what you can. And then you take that right arm low on the knee, so not high, so you can pull it in more with a bend. and that bend of the elbow pulls you around more. This arm comes down the back, and you push into the palm to rotate, really turning around and seeing how much you can push down into that into that into that right hip. I'm reading my notes here, so I didn't do anything right there. Checking to see what's next. You're going to keep both bum bones down. See if you can really rise from the rib cage here. Keep dropped into both bum bones as you get high. And as you turn. I always like to wiggle and kind of adjust. So anytime you want to turn or push a bit more or do any little wiggling to get into the right place, keep feeling how to do that. And you're really tall, rising right from the crown of the head. Lifted in the rib cage. And then you can rotate in your square right back to the front. And then you can undo that leg and uncross. And now from here, we'll come right into happy baby. So you're going to lower down to the floor. Just take the legs in the air. So you're going to reach the heels up to the ceiling and pull, and it's perfectly great if you need to bend the knees, like that's all good. The reach of the heels up. Now you're going to bend the knees to the outside so you're not in front, and then you hold on to the low legs, maybe the feet, and then you bend the elbows and you come down. Now you're going to keep the knees pressed out, and you're going to keep the elbows bending to pull down. So a brilliant stretch into the low back area. Now the breathing is continuing, so you keep on going in and out through the nose with the breath. And you keep bending the knees to the outside and pull down a lot, because the tailbone will lift well off the floor, and this will help to stretch more into the low back. And then you cross the left ankle over the right. You hold on to the feet or the low legs, maybe the shins, and you cross them over further. So I'm just going to show you. I'm crossing over like this, and you pull the ankles across more, so it's like you're sitting cross-legged on your back, and you pull those feet over to each side. The elbows bend to the outside, and you breathe. And here you can also do half a giggle, little oh, come on. That'll help. It helps to vibrate the low back. And it feels good. And you keep the elbows bending, and then you can switch. Take that opposite ankle in front, hold on to the low legs or the feet if you have short legs like me, and you bend the elbows to the outside. You keep on pulling down. Your breathing is constant, and you have the shoulders back. Keep the breathing. Keep the elbows bending to the outside. Keep on pressing the elbows bend. Keep on pressing the feet down. And then you can gently release the leg. Let the heels come down, and then extend the left leg out. We're going to go right into a hamstring stretch. Now you're going to take the right leg up, and if you're still with me from the beginning, rather than coming in the video partway through, this is very much like doing a folded mountain pose. So remember how we press the feet into the floor? It's like that here. You're pressing the heel to the ceiling, and you're pulling up through that space right in here in the core to flatten the back, and then you lift the upper body and you hold on wherever you can, and you reach the heel out, and you let the leg lengthen out as much as you can, and you might have the knee way bent for the hamstring. The left foot on the floor, you reach out, and the idea is to reach the heel over towards you and to keep the left heel on the floor reaching out. And you want to keep this hip, the bum will be off the floor, but you want to keep the front thigh, the hip,
from turning towards you. So you want to keep the hips, they're not squared, but you're not going to pull this hip up into the gut. So you want to keep that down. So if that means being here, because if you go further, you're going to pull the hip up, then stay down, okay? So you have that rotation deep in your hip. And really good. You have that heel reaching out. Pull the leg down. Pull down through the core as the heel reaches out. And, just go as far as you can. Keep the breath. Keep the heel reaching. Breath. And then you can release that leg and bring the leg to the outside. So now you're going to hold on to, in Ashtanga Yoga, we hold on to the big toe with the first two fingers. So we go between the second toe and the big toe. And you bring the heel out to the side. Now, it might be way too much for the inner thigh muscle on this leg. So what you do is bend the knee. Maybe hold on to the calf. Whatever it takes to allow the heel to reach out and for you to keep this left hip, it's going to lift, but pretty down. So pretty down as much as you can. And reach that heel out wherever you are and keep this left heel reaching out. So you're going to lengthen right in through the hip flexor, psoas muscle, all of the connections in through the top of the thigh. And this will also help to pull the waist down, okay? And you keep that heel reaching out. Shoulders are back as you get that reach out. And then you can draw all the way back up. Really good. And then one more time, draw the leg towards you. Do not lift the upper body at all, because there might be a little bit more stretch after stretching the inner thigh. And you pull the heel down towards you. Do draw the toes back. And keep that reach out of the heel as you bend the arms and keep that heel reaching out. Breath, breath, breath. And then you can release that right leg down. And then, just lie there for a moment and feel how the two sides are so different. And if you place your hands right on the front pocket area, you'll feel the heat in the right leg. This is a beautiful pose for obviously hamstrings and low back, but also for lymph drainage and stimulation of all the lymph nodes in the gut and in the upper thigh. So one of my students, she told her lymphedema therapist that this really caused drainage in through the lymph. And this is 7 years clean, I think, from breast cancer, 7 years now. So this is very good for draining and squeezing in through the lymph nodes. Lots of lymph in our lower gut. And then we're going to take the opposite, the left leg up. So you've got your lift. You draw the left heel towards you. Hold on wherever you need to. Keep the right heel reaching out. Lift the upper body towards the leg. Bend the knee if that helps you feel like you can be there. You want to be gentle. And reach that heel out. Lengthen. Let the upper body down now. And let the shoulders come down the back. Keep that heel reaching out and pulling the leg down. The opposite right heel on the floor is really reaching out and you're pulling the toes back as you get that reach out. Let the elbows bend. Keeping, again, the length. The shoulders are back. Keep the reach through the back of the heel, pulling down. Breath. Go as far as you can breathe into. If the breath catches, you're probably taxing the body too much. And then you're going to come out to the left side. And you get to reach that left heel out. Keep the right heel on the floor. You can see the hip really lifts. But you want to keep the right heel reaching out actively to pull that side of the thigh down as much as you can. As you keep that left heel reaching out. Now I've got my foot on the door, the bottom of the door here, and it's brilliant. The heel is pressing, and that's really helping me to open a lot further in through this left thigh. So if you have a wall, like if you have the space to put your leg up the wall, you'll love it. It's a great torture if you're into that. And you keep the right heel reaching out. And do keep the right shoulder back. So try not to do this, to rotate, but keep the body back. And keep the right heel on the floor reaching out. And then you can draw that left leg back up. Now as you hold on here, once again, draw the leg down towards you. Keep the right heel reaching out. And keep that thigh dropping into the socket so you're not lifting the quad. And you keep the heel reaching out. Have your breathing steady. And that's so neat. I can feel the sunshine on my bum. It's really hot yoga right on my bum. You're going to reach that heel out and pull the toes back. May you too be having a warm bum at this moment. Get a really good reach out and see if you can let the bend of the elbows pull the leg down as you reach out through the heel and as the right heel on the floor reaches out. Keep that fantastic length. And then you can take the leg, we went up, yep, now you can take the leg down and let go. Okay, wonderful. Now from here, we'll come right into cobbler pose. And I'm going to have you do this lying down. So you're going to press the soles of the feet together. And you're going to let the arms rest to the outside. And I'm going to show you that you can also do this pose on your pillows or your handy bolster if you have a bolster. So that is to take the bolster about a third, or the pillows, about a third of the way up the mat. And then you lower back down. Take the soles of the feet together. Let the knees splay out. And get the shoulder blades under so you're really opening through the rib cage. Relax the upper body and let the arms roll out to the side. So this is a brilliant pose for relaxing the lower body. It's very good for opening in through the pelvic floor, the knees, and stretching the inner thighs helps support the ligaments of the knees. So that's often why we can have cruciate problems, because the inner thighs are quite tight as well as the thighs. Now you may wish to take the arms overhead and reach through the fingertips. That's a really nice pose. And you can either be there, or if you need the arms back down, of course do, and then take the hands behind the head, interlace the fingers, make sure the shoulder blades are wriggled under and the elbows press back, and then bend over to the left and press the right elbow back. So you stay open through the rib cage and your breathing is steady. Keep that elbow pressing back. Good, and then you can come back to your center, bend over to the right, and press the left elbow back and the left shoulder. Keep the breathing constant in and out through the nose. And then you can come back to your center. Let the elbows be back. A great stretch for the neck now is to inhale, exhale, and tuck the chin. You've got the tailbone really nicely pinned down. And you look down. The elbows are coming forward, so they're not back. They're slightly forward, but not too far. And you keep the chin tucked as you breathe in and out through the nose, lengthening through the back of the neck, really squishing that chin in. And then keep the chin squished in and lower the body down. Coming down. And then you can release the arms to the floor. So good. Now, this pose can also be done, cobbler pose can be done seated. And that is and it's a good pose to continue after you've done it that way. So that is to take the soles of the feet together. And you take the thumbs on the bottoms of the feet and the fingertips on the top. And then you roll the soles of the feet up. Press the knees out wide. Lift from the rib cage, gaze up, and see if you can use the pull of the elbows into the side of the body to pull you up and lift you up from the base of the spine. Now,
Technically, after a time, you want to have the soles of the feet rolled up, if you can. If the ankles will give it to you, if it's okay through the knees, of course you can have the feet flat. It's just that when you turn the sole of the foot up, it rotates the knee out, as you can see. So it helps to open the hip without pressing on the knee joint. You don't want to press the knee joint down. So sometimes people will try to, I don't know, like press a person down by pressing the knees, but that's a bit too much for the joint. You want to rotate from the feet, from the thighs here, as opposed to slam the knees down, because this is yoga, not ambition. And you keep the elbows pulled into the side to lift you. Gaze up for a moment, and then maybe there's a bit of a fold, but you might be just so happy to be up, to be tall. And then you might be able to fold forward. Just see what you can do here as you press the outside edges of the feet or the feet together to get that opening right in through the hips. And breath. 2 more breaths. This is also an excellent pose for anxiety. We hold a lot of tension in here and in through the lower gut, and you're getting that squeeze and the lift that's helping to access that area. And then you come all the way back. Now, you can take the legs out, and we're going to come into a very strong pose. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways to do this so that it feels accessible. So you're going to come right into forward, full legs in front rather. And then in this pose, you point the toes, you straighten the legs, and you press into the hands. You take an in-breath, you lift, coming up, press into the palms, look to the ceiling, and as you can hear, I still have an open throat. So I'm not doing a tightness through the throat, there's a really good sound. And then you point the toes, you may be able to bring the head even further back. You keep pressing into the feet, lifting the tailbone forward, forward, and up. And you let the head come back as much as you can, that you can still talk. That's kind of the indicator. And then you can come down, very strong. And then you can take the feet apart, hip width. This is another version. So if the first version is too much, please come into this. You're going to scoop the tailbone out, send the gaze to the ceiling, let the shoulders come forward like this, so it's like an armless hug, and you're not back. And then you scoop the tailbone out, press on the insides of the feet as you send the tailbone out, and you rise, and you keep pressing on the insides of the feet. Breathing in and out through the nose. The elbows are very straight. It's okay if they lock in this, if that's okay through your joint. You're not attempting to lock them, but if they do lock, a lot of women's will, the way our elbows are, it's okay. And then you come back down. And I'll just comment on that locking thing. So you don't want to hyperextend the elbows. You want to have the elbows turned in so there's a softness in through the joint. So I'll just demonstrate again. So as you come up, you've got a softness, you're not turning the eyes of the elbows forward. They turn in, and that helps to keep the elbows soft. Good, now if that was wicked, like way too hard, you'd have the legs come in front. Take the hands back probably about 9 inches. Press into the palms, gaze up to where the ceiling meets the wall, and press into the hands as you lift the rib cage. And the shoulders, as you can see, come forward. Pull up from the rib cage as you breathe. And keep on opening in through the front chest and breath. And then you can come into a lifted position. Now from here, we'll come into shoulder stand. Now I'm going to be demonstrating how to do this against the wall, as well as how to do it on the ground. I think I'll show you the full shoulder stand first, and then if you need to do it against the wall, you can do it against the wall. So I'm going to be quite speedy because I want to focus on the form. You're going to come down, and you're going to take the bum up by doing some momentum, because often, like I have little boy hips, they're really narrow, so it's a piece of cake for me to get my hips up. But for most of us, they're going to have
wider hips, and there's going to be way more weight in the bum. So it can be a bit hard to get the weight up. So here's what I like to do. Shoulder blades are under, elbows are close to the side, and these are basically what you're going to catch with. You're going to bend the knees together, and you breathe in, and then you come back, catch the bum, and then press the knees together, wiggle the elbows in. It's a bit tricky because of the stickiness of the mat, but you want the elbows pretty close together. And then you walk the hands up the back, extend through the legs, and press the hands right into the low back while you press the head back so the throat is open. I'm finding now I can walk my hands a little further up the back. Keep the length in through the low back by pressing the knees together. And all of the weight, none is in your head. You've got your head back a bit, so there's no weight on your neck. And all of the weight is in your upper arms, so the tricep area, and in through the elbows. And you keep the lift through the rib cage, lengthening. Keep the breath steady. And keep pressing the elbows down into the floor to have your nice strong lift. And your breath. Now from there, you could take the legs over, come right into a plow position. Plow position is to reach the legs out, your head stays back, and then maybe you come to the floor. So, oh, I thought that was two. Okay, there's the floor. Okay, so you're gonna reach out, the hands reach behind, and you're going to point the toes softly, or you could tuck the toes under. Either one. I'm wriggling the wrists away from my bum to lengthen the spine, and then you press the backs of the arms down. And you keep the knees pressed together, and you draw the core in, and your breath is constant. In and out through the nose, and breath. Keep the backs of the arms pressing down. You're lengthening the neck, you're creating traction in the neck. Beautiful way to lengthen the neck and the shoulders get down. And then you can take the hands right back to the low back. It's really nice when you get skin. It's easier to control your movements, at least I find. And then you're gonna lower down, and you might fall down really quick. You might slam down right away, and that happens. And then you can lower your whole body down. Lie on the floor for a moment because you've had some big changes in your blood pressure, and you let your whole body rest back for a moment. So if you can notice when the bum is up this way, I just want you to really get excited about this pose. When the bum is up this way, it lengthens you out from your neck. Now, if that's really challenging, I'll just change the camera position, and I'll show you how you would do this if you can't get your bum up in the air, like if it's really hard. So, let me get you in the right position. You're gonna rotate over, and you are, just a second, I want to do this really well. Okay, there we go. Yeah, good. So the sunshine is gonna be right on my bum. Again, yes. So you take the short end of the mat against the wall, and then it's really neat to get against the wall. You've got to like get it really close. So you take the knees, bend them, hip check the wall. Now when you come down, often you'll come off the wall. So squeeze, squeeze, squeeze against the wall. Try to keep that squeeze of the bum up against the wall. And then as you lower down, you take the legs up the wall, and you make sure, you might need to push in again, that the base of the spine, the bum, comes against the wall again. So you want to attempt to do that. And then you take your feet hip width apart. You press into the feet, so it's like you're going to turn into Spider-Woman. And you're going to press the tailbone up. This is way easier than it looks, and it feels amazing. I used to do shoulder stand this way because of my scoliosis. I couldn't do the other one for years. And so I practiced this, and it elongates the neck. Now, then you can take your hands So they come right on the low back. Scoop under the elbows, get them really back and down, and then press the head back as the tailbone reaches up towards the ceiling. And the neck is open. You may find that here you have the confidence to take the legs up. So you might lift from here. That's a really great way to model or shape into the pose to help to get the lift in through the tailbone. And or stay up. And or you might do one leg. And then when you're in this position, I find that people naturally start to want to stretch like this. Like to take one leg down, because it's a really nice stretch in through the hip flexor. So you can take that leg out, the other leg out, keeping the tailbone reaching and keeping the elbows pressing down. Just notice what you can do and coming back and keeping the elbows down. And then you would slowly lower the body down, lengthen the legs up the wall, let the shoulders come out because you want to flatten the upper back again, and then just, take a moment to let your body lengthen and let yourself go. Okay, so that's doing modified shoulder stand against the wall. And it's a really great way to work up to the shoulder stand. So let me just move the camera back, move my mat back so we can continue with the focus. Okay, here we go. Great. All right. So we're down. Get down on the floor. And the next thing that I have in the exercises that we've done is I showed how you could do the cobbler. I hope your back feels great after that. I can really feel the difference. I showed how to do the cobbler that's with the soles of the feet together. I showed how to do it on the bolster. You can also do this. This is a really, really nice stretch. You come with the bolster or a couple of pillows. If you were using, again, like couch pillows, then you could do that. You want to have narrow ones if you can. And then you would put two, one behind the other. But anything that can give you this amount of height. And then you can have the soles of the feet together. And then take the arms up overhead, out like a V, and let the shoulders come back. Now, if this is a little bit too much through the low back, like right in here, the arc is too much, then you would put a blanket folded under here, or a pillow, or a big pillow. Whatever you need to do, it's just that. The position of your feet really helps to draw the tailbone down. And that's a really, really good opening in through the low core. And also stretching the low core and the abdominal muscles there. And you're rested out to the side. So this is a wonderful pose to do. Now sometimes I notice the pose will be too intense for the low back, and even if you have assistance of a height, like of a pillow under there, it's too much. So some people will actually take their body to the top and then come back. So they'll come back this way with their knees bent. Let's see. Yep, and you can have the soles of the feet together here. So that's another way to do the cobbler with your body right at the top of the bolster. So that's a really good way to open there. And then you can come over, either pause the video to stay in the pose because it's brilliant and it's really working. And from there, you can come back and draw the knees into the chest, nice and wide, and then let the heels drop. Now extend the legs out and just rest the arms to the outside. Let the shoulders come down and under so that you are lying back and coming right into Shavasana, lying relaxation. And you want to feel the feet
roll out in relaxation. And you want to feel your body rest back. The entire back of the spine is letting go and you're releasing into the floor. And do any little wiggling that you may need to do to feel like you're more in contact with the floor. Even notice that your fingers are relaxed. Let the muscles of the eyes rest back. And keep feeling the backs of the knees open as you let go into the floor. Shavasana can be done for up to 8 minutes. I find if you go longer than 10 minutes, you get a little sleepy. So I find for alertness, giving yourself that amount of time, around 8 minutes, is a good amount of time to let all the effects of the postures gel in your tissue. And that's what we're doing. We're helping the body return to a slower, a normal, if you will, energetic level, because we've just stimulated the nerves all along the spine. And now we want everything to settle for a moment before we go on with our day. Lovely. And now, just continue to rest back. You can certainly stop the video here, but I'm really inspired to share some of the effects of yoga that people don't talk about. Not only is it good for, obviously, posture, nervous system, there's other things I've noticed. Like, I've noticed there's been an increased consciousness and awareness that I trust myself to make decisions that before I'd think that's crazy, I can't do that. So I'm noticing that I'll take greater actions that I wouldn't take before. I'll call somebody up and tell them that I want to teach something, or call somebody up and ask to see them. For example, I was writing my book, and I was writing a very, very difficult part. It was about my daughter's rape. It was horrible. I didn't know how to write it. And so a friend of mine told me about a woman who had written about sexual violation, and that she interviewed a number of women about their experiences and how they'd moved on in their life. So I called up this woman, Deb, and I first of all, I had to message her, and I forget through which app, and I said, hello, Deb Dorsey, or sorry, not Deb Dorsey, another Deb. I have no idea why I'm contacting you, but I know you're the person I want to speak to. She called me within 25 minutes. However the message was, it was along those lines. It was so right from what I knew that she responded. There's so many ways that we have understandings or promptings of actions we need to take, and we often don't take them because we think, oh, that's crazy. Doesn't make sense. And yet there's this absolute clarity to act. So please listen to those little promptings inside that are asking you to call somebody, to do something, to take a step, to buy that ticket, to quit that job. When I first started teaching yoga, I had very small classes. I had a smaller studio, and we had up to 5 people. And I started to joke that I was going to do a disclaimer that they may quit their job, because 5 out of the 5 people did. They quit their job and they started their own consulting company. So what happens is there's a reality check. There's a way that you know to live, and changes that you need to make in your marriage, in your relationship, in food you eat, in how much sleep you make sure you get. Because you start to become more attuned to a harmony inside that is no longer negotiable. You must listen to ways that need to change. And what an incredible gift. These are little subtle changes you know to make in your life that you might not have felt if you weren't practicing yoga or breathing. The other thing I want to share is at first you practice yoga and you learn how to do the poses, and then the poses do you. Esther Myers, one of my very earliest yoga teachers, who was a fantastic teacher in Toronto, she used to say, first you do yoga and then yoga does you. And that is absolutely the way. So as you practice, there's going to be a sensibility that's heightened. And you're going to know to do this pose now, even though you're watching the video and they say do this one, and your body goes into a pose because you're being done by the prana. So please listen to these inner promptings because they're guiding you into a more thorough practice that's yours that day with how you're feeling. So your yoga practice will vary, and feel free to do a very gentle yoga practice on a day that you need to really let go, and to do a stronger one on the days that you feel that chutzpah, you feel that ability. Also, please move towards a stronger yoga practice when you're experiencing anxiety. And I would also say depression. They're similar. Fear is there. Because when you're feeling fearful, if you have strong, vigorous movements and breaths, it's easier to change your mood, to change what's convincing you that things are wrong or not good or uncomfortable. We need to meet the discomfort and breathe into it in order for an adaptation or a change or an ability to be the way we are to occur. So those are just a few of the changes that you may notice from the practice of yoga. And also email me with any comments, anything that you've noticed by practicing yoga. I'd love to hear how it's made changes in your life. And thank you for being here. Thank you for signing up for beginner yoga for those that are watching the video from the beginner yoga series. And thank you for taking the time to be on this laboratory of the mat to see the changes that are going to occur in your tissue. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. And where's my remote?